right, well, this bale isn't bad. You can expect a patch of something because it was laid on its side, and also because it didn't have enough wrap. Now, far from being second cut, again, the swindle is ever going. This is clearly a late first cut or late second cut, but it's awful stemmy and long for second cut late. But the amount of seed dropping out, you can see it all up through here. So this was cut and baled after flowering, so little nutritional value. Really hate buying feed from other people. I'm sure he wasn't trying to cheat me. He probably thinks every bale was gold. He certainly sold it that way. You forget. He doesn't mark his bales like I mark mine, and that is exactly why, having bought stuff like this before, why I mark my bales. I know when they were baled. I know where they came from. I can now apportion my own bales where I need them based on the quality that I recorded when I labeled the bale, and also I keep track of the yield from each field so I can basically gauge. I know what fields are bad. I know roughly year to year when I bale the field. The later it's baled, obviously that means it's going to be lower nutrition, especially if it says first cut. Having that record is really vital, and you don't end up with crap like this where I get random, Russian roulette with the bales, whether they're going to be moldy or toxic or can't be fed out. And obviously I will never be stacking bales on their edge because of this happening. Certainly it seems, enough people do it, and maybe they can afford to have waste. I don't know how. I suppose for 1 year you can do it and get away with it, but these are last summer's second cut. So these have been baled and sitting that way for a year. And so that means they just have that much longer to deteriorate. And while this doesn't smell appallingly bad, it's not great. It's that wet side is full of butyric acid, volatile fatty. So I had a whole thing about this bale and I didn't even hit record. So again, because the bale was laid on its side, and I won't be doing that ever. Now also it is last year's bale, so it didn't get fed out soon, and it didn't have enough wrap on it. So this side is wet and a little bit moldy and a little bit funky. It smells like butyric acid or vomit, which isn't good for the cheese. Hopefully it'll be diluted. Hopefully I'll get by that section. I won't feed out as much of it as we get into the bale. Now the bale will get better. It's not that moldy. A little bit of this white mold is okay because that's actually a yeast that the cows can eat. But the fact that they're stored on their edge and they're soaking wet on that bottom side just means it's not as nice. It's not a nice bale. And I knew that. I should have known. I had records when I went and looked that I wasn't going to buy his bales again because exactly this problem. He doesn't put enough wrap on them. And they're long string. They're not chopped. They're not packed densely. Just makes me like our baler all that much more because it just does such a better job. The 3 different balers that I bought from 3 different farms all have pretty similar and not anywhere near what the Klaas baler that we got can do. So maybe I'm just fussy, maybe I'm anal about it, but I like the feed that we produce ourselves, and we've got to get to a point where we can produce more of it ourselves. This year was just a screwed year. Last year we produced everything except for 5 bales, and that included feeding out during the summer. This year it was just a matter of feeding out 30 bales. That's 60 days or 60, actually more like 120 partial days, because I was only feeding out half a day and they were out on grass the rest of the time. You know, it was splitting that feed allotment to keep the milk up, keep them out on grass, keep them healthy, without just feeding silage. So now I'm gonna just be feeding silage, and that I just hope the rest of the bales are not worse than the one I'm open just now. All right, got a bale rolled out for the calves. Haven't ever done that for them before, so they'll figure it out. Too busy walking on it like it's a red carpet. Well, it's Sunday, I think the 25th of October, something like that, 25th, 26th. We got our third annual Woes and Books event today for kids at the farm. Free open event where kids come, they can read books to the calves, they get to take a book home. Then we get donated, we have cider and cheese samples and things out. Not really a sales day, not really a pressure thing, just some fun for the kids. Kids come in costume. A little bit different today because normally the calves are not in this field at this time of year. They are, so the field's a bit of a scratty mess. Hopefully that isn't a problem. It was also oddly really cold and damp this morning. So, and I'm not feeling it. I've got something going on. It's just drained me. And it's been a weird week, including getting my tooth removed. So that could be a lot of why I don't feel that great. So I'm not feeling it. Allison's super excited. So hopefully we get somebody to attend and turn out this year. It's a mixed bag. The first year was really well attended. A lot of people came, and the next year, moderate, but the key was people stayed the whole 3 hours, and that was different. And they really enjoyed hanging out with the calves. So this year we'll see what happens. I feel like we should be doing more, but we got cider and cheese samples, popcorn balls, and the books and calves. Someone hit the corner of the pumpkin bale and spun it around. Tore it up. It should be facing the road, not the driveway. Must have been one of the deliveries we had. I wonder if it was the feed company when they delivered grain the other day. Clipped it. Well, I don't have time to mess with it. Cows are out for probably the last couple of days of the year. I wish we could go another week, but it just isn't enough out there to feed them. So, I mean, they're still on silage at the barn, but we're gonna have to pull them out. The field needs to rest and regrow. I have a little bit of ground left down below, but I'm reserving that for the heifers that I need to fatten up. The cows will do fine on grain and silage in the barn. We'll just start them on that program. I do need to get some wood chips brought into the barn because otherwise it's going to be a scratty mess, and we'll have to have somewhere to send the cows out to clean the barn every time. So still working on that whole prospect, what we're going to do for the winter. But this week, thinking we're going to be bringing silage home from Thomaston, so we'll fill up the rest of this area with the bales I made. So what's a dairy farmer go to a Halloween party as? A rancher, of course. Your attempts to infiltrate the herd have not gone unnoticed.
I don't know what I like. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Meg, you got another one.
Ready? Okay.
So the cows aren't really liking this bale. That is the face clearly of a cow that does not like what's in front of her. Lottie is picking and choosing. The other cows, not so much. Lottie is certainly hesitant to just dive right in like the other cows. Now this is a silage. This bale isn't siled. It's just gone more towards wow. Mold, pure mold, gone towards the butyric side of things, really acidic and not lactic and sweet. We've had a couple inches of rain since I put the shipping container up. And during the last storm, the pigs had turned the very end of their yard to soup. But they dug down last night, and you can see that clearly, despite the ground all around us being damp and there being surface moisture, down a couple inches, there is no moisture penetration. So, yeah, I'd say the top 4 inches are probably saturated, but unless there's a fissure through the ground, it's not getting in. And that means the drought isn't going to abate anytime soon. Yeah, that area there goes down a foot, whereas all the rest of this is mud at the top surface. That's bone dry down there. Mixed bag of weather today, very cold. We had quite heavy showers a few minutes ago. Well, I suppose it was a half hour ago it stopped. I was eating lunch. I was supposed to go to Thomaston to load bales and bring them back to the farm with my buddy Greg's help, but he's not feeling well and his truck's out of commission tomorrow, so we're not doing it. Which, a lot of flies in here, which isn't good. I would have liked to have gotten those home, but I've been puttering around, helping Allison, doing some cleanup, paperwork, working on the quote for the boiler system. But I decided this morning, I think what I'm going to do right now, I got a little time, I'm going to move some bales that I've already have here to make space for the bales that I'm going to stack once we bring them back from Thomaston. And this way I can keep everything together. Because right now I've got bales on one end of the pile and bales on another end of the pile. I took some of the bales from the middle of the pile and sold them to the neighbor. So I just want to get everything packed together that is late first cut hay that's not Thomaston. It's about 4 different places. And then I can stack all of Thomaston together. I might also stack Thomaston next to the silage we bought. So all told, I made 130 bales. I wanted 110, but I need 110. I was hoping to make 200 at least. And I was anticipating making more during the summer. Before we started making it, I had great expectations. The weather did not play in my hand. It just was too wet and then too dry. Just kind of like I feared. The first cut was way down, and I can only think that was because it was so wet that it somehow limited the grass growth, that the roots were swamped, and it just didn't really take off. Late first cut hay was plentiful. We got 60 bales last year from Thomaston. We got 60 bales this year from Thomaston. So, and it wasn't late, but it was starting to set seed. It was still, a lot of it was still flowering, but some of it was setting seed. And that's not ideal. So had it been a normal year, my yields might have been increased. I fertilized, I did everything right up to a point. I need to get manure out, but I did everything right this year up to a point, but it was just the weather. After first cut, it didn't rain. And so we didn't have any second cut. And second cut, last year was only a third down from first cut. So I think I had less fields last year, and I got Thomaston late, 60 bales there. I want to say we put up right around 150 bales last year. Maybe, yeah, and that would have been more like 18 bales from the main field in Farmsworth. This year I got 6. So about half down. And then I had about 7 or 8 bale, or maybe 9 bales there last year, second cut. This year 1. So yeah, if I hadn't gotten those other hay fields, and oh, that's right, I made 130 bales, but I sold 20. So yeah, I have plenty of bales to feed the animals in one way or the other, and with the bought silage for sure. Next year, I won't have the bought silage to rely on. He's not making silage anymore. My other supplier didn't have it this year because he saved most of it for his own cattle. And so I need to improve my fields. I need to improve my yields. I need to have more silage under my own control, and because obviously what I'm experiencing with these bought bales, our baler does a better job. I wrap it with more layers, it lasts better. And if I can put the inoculator on like I wanted to do this year but just didn't get to it, then the silage would be even better. So yeah, I'm gonna go move those bales around, pick out a couple that have torn, but they're hay, so I'll feed them to the calves next. And this is also the first year where I've actually allotted hay for the calves and the dry cows that isn't silage. Like last year, I just fed everybody the same stuff. This year I was a little more intentional, and also why I agreed to take some of the late first cut fields, because I knew that the beef calves and the heifers that we're not keeping will do fine on it. And it's just the dairy cows in lactation and trying to grow a calf, and they need the higher nutrition, and we need the butter fat and the milk solids from that. So anyway, let's get this going, and let's go move those bales around. Minor task done. I was just turning around, and we got horseplay with the calves. Somebody's in heat, so that means Cassie's in heat. Too early to breed her, so about everybody's hanging out in the same area. Yeah, so Cassie's 8 months old, so we gotta wait another 4 months before we breed her. That's fine by me, but now we're starting to track her cycles so that we know come 4 months we can, see whether she's on a 21-day cycle like should be, or if it's aberrant, and we can try and breed her when she needs to be bred. The only other one in that pen that will be breeding, Sean Bean, thank God. The boys are younger. They're not sexually mature. We probably have pregnancy now. They're going next week anyway. So then the only one we got to track is Aurora in that pen. Everybody else is a lot younger. So by the time we breed Cassie and then we breed Aurora, then the other ones will be ready to start tracking. So I got my bales condensed all there. I put the 2 split ones on the end so I can grab them, and I put one of the Thomaston silage bales that I brought home earlier in the summer there. And now I've got my area here clean that I will put the rest of the bales. So if I go 4 deep and 2 high, so there's 8, each row will be 8. Finish there's 4, another 8's 12, 16, no, 20. Yeah, I should be able to fill this area and have enough storage for the bales brought home from Thomaston. I wish we were doing that today and tomorrow. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. That is a problem because I don't own a truck or a trailer. Or I would have done it already. So, garbage. It's really kind of annoying garbage. We had an event yesterday and people came and they took these and found it folded up in the parking lot. So, anyway, I'm glad I took a couple minutes to do that. Now I'll start in on chores. But that'll just make it easier when I go to feed out in the winter to have everything grouped together. That way I know what I'm feeding, where I'm feeding it from. I can pretty much remember what the fields were like, plus my notations. If I have any question about if I come short of good silage and I need something nutrition to feed to the cows, then I can jump on that. That's the other reason I really wanted the silage brought home today and tomorrow, is when I do have those Thomaston bales right there that I can sample. I'm gonna have forage testing done. I want to test the bales we bought, and I want to test the Thomaston bales. I don't know, I thought maybe that'll happen this week. Maybe I can push it off till next week, although I kind of need it done, because the idea is the feed company will come, we'll test the bales, we'll get the feed report back, and then because I'm feeding out these bales, we'll see whether we need to change the feed that we're feeding them in the parlor, change the amount, the type of it, to make sure that we're giving them the right nutrition, make sure that they're not going to drastically lose weight or the milk numbers are going to go wacko, especially because we do need the butter fat and the milk solid to remain high, because we're also, as we go into winter and the days get colder and they're on silage, there's no more grass, they've done an amazing job out there clearing that plot out that I've had them on now for days. Maybe I should let them have a little bit more of the other one. Anyway, their milk totals will come down. The milk volume will drop soon. And we've also talked about dropping again this winter back to once a day milking, because we don't need as much milk. Allison had 105 gallons of milk today, Monday. It's been averaging 100 gallons on a Monday the last couple weeks, down from peak volumes earlier in the summer. So that's enough. She's been drawing off milk to make butter with, to separate the cream separator and make butter with. So we don't need more than that. And Wednesdays and Fridays milk volumes are usually around 80 gallons. We don't need to make that volume of cheese right now. We're not selling it with the summers down, traffic's down, tourism down. Our orders this week were quite pathetic. Holidays are coming up, but she's making holiday cheese. That's what some of today's milk will go into. So we won't be needing the volume of milk. We're going to have nettle freshening possibly in December, which means that's more milk coming. Luna's almost worked through her problems, so she'll be online soon, we hope. So there'll be more milk then, so we can afford to drop down to once a day milking and lose a little volume. And then the only real risk is taking, I think, 3 or 4 cows out in late January, early February, because they're calving right around St. Patrick's Day. We dry them off 45 days before they calve, so they get a decent rest. Drying that many calves off, if we've lost too much milk volume, and then we won't have it to make it up when we need to be ramping up for spring cheeses in early summer. So it's a balancing act. It's all it's all dicey. You know, you just don't know what the market's going to do, what the economy's going to do, how the cows are going to do, what the winter weather's going to be like. It's pretty much a gamble every freaking day. And again, in March, we're going to have Astrid and Joy calving in, so they'll be joining the herd. So next summer we will have a lot of milk. We've been having some issues with the water because of the drought. The well isn't recharging as fast as it should, and so filling 2 troughs, so 300 gallons will trip the well alert because we've drawn it down too fast before it recharges. So I've been having to, because two troughs, one for the heifers, one for the cows, plus about another 30 gallons, plus 10, 15, 20 gallons here and there, plus whatever the cows are drinking in the barn. You know, it's about 500 gallons a day. So, and it tops up when this hose bib isn't on the 2 troughs, that 300 gallons gets drawn down, so it has to top back up. And so I've been trying to balance running this and not continually. So I'm going to top these up, turn it off, let the well recharge, let the pump, you know, come down, pressurize, because also Allison's using water for the cheese making. So that way we're saving the wear and tear on the system as opposed to tripping it all the time, running the well dry, which is a serious concern. Just really trying to manage our water flow as best as possible. This time of year I spend an awful lot of time filling buckets. So in the cheese caves, we use air conditioners to control the environment and keep the cheese at the optimum aging temperature of 50 degrees. We use a little computer thing called a CoolBot, which tricks the air conditioner into running much colder than it normally would. What that means is occasionally the air conditioners go wonky and the control panels burn, or they start icing up, and there's been other issues. So once every 5 or so years, and these things run continually, I mean, they're running every day, all day, you know, on a cycle. Mostly just the fan runs, but then the compressor kicks on, chills the room down, the fan runs. So we're running them far more than a normal air conditioner. They last about 5 years. We have to replace the air conditioner unit in the Opus cave. So that's what we're doing. And that also means sometimes when we can, and we should just do this, buy a couple of heads so that we have one as a spare. Never works out because we never have the money. Plus they keep changing the size and design every single year of the air conditioners. So I think we're on our second in the Opus cave. We've already put 2 in the walk-in, and the only one that hasn't really changed is the blue cave, because it's pretty stable. It doesn't do a lot. It has the other 2 refrigeration units on either side to help it keep cooler. So today's task is to replace the air conditioner in the Opus cave, because we've been limping along with the one in there icing up for about a week until we could get this one. We just missed a sale. If we had caught the sale last week, not this week, we didn't know. We would have bought several. Anyway, so I am going to open this up, and we are going to have to take the old one out, which is not easy because there's cheese in the cave that can't be contaminated. And it's a messy job. We have to be extra careful because we have to foam these units in the opening that I left for the air conditioners. Now, hopefully I won't have to modify the opening, because that's had to happen in the past, because the original air conditioners we bought were smaller for some reason than the ones they've been coming out with. So brand new air conditioner going in. This should last us quite a while. And the other thing is, with the CoolBot unit, you have to buy a certain brand of air conditioner, which isn't always easy to find. Now, the reason for using the CoolBots and the air conditioners is they operate far more efficiently than the same kind of commercial refrigeration units. And they're a little bit more versatile. So it allows us to put the cool bots and the coolers and have coolers where we want them rather than where it's convenient to have a big compressor unit. Saves on a lot of piping and refrigerant and all kinds of headaches. So it's also less expensive to operate. So for a small, trying to be efficient operation like us, it definitely works better. We've been using CoolBots for 10, 15, almost 20 years, I think, since they first came out. Okay, we have to get the old unit out through the cave with Jesus, through the make room, and outside, which is not ideal because it won't go through back into the back hallway and out. Pain. Okay, we're ready. Trying to get this in, we're going to use some foam to fill in the gaps. Yelling at you. Oh no, what the heck? Oh, right. Okay, let's go there, more or less. Push it out to where we think it needs to be.
Okay, so should I be pushing it as far as the bar?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I've got another 2 inches.
Okay.
So the bar, at this point, Neil,
Yeah?
with it leaning back, it goes past the wall.
Okay, we don't want that.
Okay, so push back towards me a little bit. Also, I don't think it's hard up against here. Okay, so now I'm about, ouch!
Oh, sorry. I wasn't trying to do that.
Okay, I'm how about a half an inch from between the hole opening and the top of the bar.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes it in line more or less with the. Should I push the bottom toward you?
No.
Okay.
No, because that gives us the tip.
Okay. Now, do you want that to be pushed up all the way against the bar?
No, I don't want the foam against the bar.
Okay.
Is that good?
I like that light control.
I gotta plug it in.
Okay.
I'm gonna plug in the thing too.
Okay.
It shouldn't do anything.
No, it's just like a controller.
I heard a click.
Yeah, I did too.
All right, I'm gonna foam this bottom edge.
Yeah.
I'm just foaming up the cracks. That's the Cool Bot. This isn't a sales pitch. We don't get sponsored by them. So I'm just sealing up any air gaps. So that keeps the bugs out, keeps warm air out, keeps moisture out, all the things for a temperate, moisture controlled zone. And hopefully with that foam in there, this can't go anywhere. That's the idea. Well, it's working, but we've solved one problem, and now the GFCI keeps tripping. So it's either weak GFCI now or something. I think this brand new unit has a short in it. Could be how the inverter technology works. Yep, just tripped again. So I gotta go get a new out case of the fact that the GFCI was getting weak. It's been installed in here for about 9 years. So lots of hours on it. We'll fire this up and see what happens. Well, I hear it's working, so that's good on this end. It seems to only be when it's kicking into the trick mode to get the air conditioner to cool deeper that it was tripping the GFCI. So it's a 20 amp breaker for a 15 amp draw, so I don't think that's the issue. I think it was just the GFCI was not handling the load and was failing.